force between two parallel
silk screen.
oh, force between two parallel current carrying conductors. Okay, so imagine I have two conductors here. This is one conductor, this is another one. They are carrying current. These two conductors L1 and L2 are they're infinitely long. This wire and this wire, they're infinitely long. This is L1 and this is L2. They're infinitely long wires. Okay. Now current, this is current I1 in first conductor and this is I2 in the second conductor. Okay. Now we need to find what is the force experienced by L1 due to L2 and what is the force experienced by L2 due to L1. We need to find that. Okay. So we start by considering two conductors, two current carrying conductors. Carrying current I1 and I2. Let R be the separation between the two wires. Okay.
Sir, is that R?
R. Let R be the separation between the two wires. Now, if you look closely, conductor L2 is in the magnetic field L1 and L1 is in the magnetic field of L2, right? So if we draw, so according to, we know what is the direction of magnetic field. How to find the direction for a straight current carrying wire? The magnetic field lines are in the form of a concentric circles. So I can draw a circle here to get the direction of B at a distance R, right? So this is the circle for this one. Similarly for this one, now you can notice, this is I1, if I hold this, if I use the right hand grip rule, that is thumb gives the direction of the current and the curl finger gives the direction of magnetic field, I see magnetic field in this case is this side, right? And here magnetic field is going inside into the, imagine this to be a little bit inclined, okay? Little inclined. That means the axis is something like this. The axis of the projection is something like this way. This is X, let's say this is Y, this is Z. Okay, so something inclined like this, understand? Not exactly on the paper. So it is going into. Am I right? Similarly for this case, for this current carrying wire, both are going in the same direction. Similarly for this one also magnetic field is this way, right? And going there. So this is B. I can say this one as what? This is B1, this is B1, this is B2, this is B2. You can understand that B1 and B2 are the magnetic field of the individual wires. Okay, this is the radius R, or separation between them. Now what is the force? If I use the Fleming's left hand rule, right? Let L be the length. Before I go for the infinite length, let L be the length of each of the wires. Okay, if L be the length of each of the wires, so force field current FBI, right? Field is coming out, current is up, so force is which way? You can see, if I consider this to be coming out of the board, let's say, so force is this side. The force experienced by this wire will be, force experienced by this wire will be which way? It will be, so for this one it would be force, if this is B, so this is F1, right?
Yes.
This is the force due to one, force on L1. Similarly for this one it would be, let me use red, F2. So they are towards each other or not? They're towards each other, right?
Yes, sir.
So you got the concept? So then I can write, force on 2, force on conductor 2 due to 1 will be what? F2 would be, it is in the magnetic field of which one? We know, yesterday we have derived F is equal to BIL sin theta, right? So F is in, so magnetic field, the wire is in the magnetic field of which, whose magnetic field? It is in the L1's magnetic field, am I right? So this one should be B1, and current, force is I2, current will be I2, and this is L. What is L? L is the length of the wire. Both the wires have same length. Let R be the separation between the wire, and I'll also write here, let L be the length of the wires. L be the length of the wires. Okay? So BIL. Now what is the angle between them? Clearly you can see angle between length vector. Where is the length vector? This is the length vector. This is the length of the wire. And where is the magnetic field? Magnetic field is perpendicular to the length. So this is the magnetic field coming out like this. Right? So this angle between them is how much? 90. So this is sine 90. Therefore I get this B1 I2L. Okay? Now magnetic field B due to, we have done this, B due to a straight current carrying wire. Straight current carrying wire. What do you think it would be? Straight current carrying wire. We have derived this relation mu naught I, for L1 we are giving this straight current carrying wire L1 would be mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. You have derived this, remember? I have also taught you that if it is theta, then this relation will be B equals to mu naught I by 4 pi r into theta. I have taught you this relation also, right? So now if I substitute this, so this is B1, if I substitute it there, F2 will be equals to mu naught I1 I2 into L by 2 pi r, right? This is the force experienced by what? This is the force experienced by one wire with respect to the other. Similarly F1 will also be, similarly you can prove it that F1 will be equals to mu naught I1 I2 into L by 2 pi r, because both of them are complicate of each other, right? Complement of each other. That means both of them are symmetrical only. One of them is in the magnetic field of the other is also in the magnetic field of the other, and so on. Therefore we can write this is the force, that is force. Therefore F is equal to, generalizing it, if I generalize this, I get F is equal to mu naught I1 I2 L by 2 pi r. What is this? This is the force experienced by, this is the force experienced by a current carrying force between, this is force between two parallel current carrying wire. Now this is, wait a minute, this is, I'm going to denote this by small f.
So what is it written here first before on top of therefore? What is that word?
Generalizing it, because I have written F1 and F2. No, now you see, I'm writing this small f. Reason is why, you'll see, because this is the length bit when length is given to you. What about when length is not been provided? Then per unit length, we can go for the, if the wires are infinitely long. For an infinitely long, for infinitely long wires, what will the relation then? It would be F would be equals to F by L, that is force per unit length. So that will give me how much? Mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi r. So remember that. So unit of this force is, this is force per unit length, so divided by length. So unit of this would be Newton per meter. This is the Newton by 1 meter also we can say. This is the force per unit length. Be careful. So this is force per unit length, and that is the force, Newton. Okay. So then we have got this value. Now definition of 1 ampere. May I clean it?
Yes, sir.
Definition in class 11, when you are learning SI units, you have been introduced to 7 base units. One of the 7 base units was ampere, current. How much current is there? Ampere. And there, if you see, the definition comes from here. Now I am saying that, so we got the relation F is equals to mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi r, already length being that. This is force per unit length. Correct? Now you can see, if I1 and I2, what do you think will be the force between the two wires if this has to be 1 ampere? So you can see, when I1 equals to I2 equals to 1 amp, R equals to 1 meter, right? Then F is equals to how much? We get F is equal to, F will be equal to how much? F will be equal to, we can write this mu naught by 2 pi, right?
Yes, sir.
Mu naught by 2 pi. Look at the unit I am going to write now. This is F, okay? So F, that is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 2 pi. Cancel, I get here 2 into 10 to the power minus 7. What will be my unit? Newton per meter. Okay? So the current between, so 1 ampere, how will you define 1 ampere? 1 ampere is defined as a current between two infinitely long parallel current carrying wires, when they experience, when they are separated by distance of 1 meter, experience a force of how much?
2
It's 2 into 10 to the minus 7 Newton per meter.
Newton per meter.
Okay, so this is how you define. Make a sentence of this. I am not going into sentence of that. So this is how. Don't forget, 2 into 10 to the minus 7 Newton per meter of the length. Okay, so this is how we define 1 ampere. Understand? Now one more thing here. So you can see, so we have seen this, that when two wires are carrying current in the same direction, both of the forces are coming towards each inside, right? F1 was inside, F2 is also inside. So they are attractive. That means two wires is going to attract each other. Attractive force. Okay, two wires will try to attract. What about they are going in the opposite direction? Then, so this is a current carrying wire, one, and this is another one. So you can clearly see the magnetic field of the first wire. This is L1 and this is L2. Let's say the first wire's magnetic field will be this side. Okay, magnetic field is this side. So if I use the Fleming's left hand rule, force, field, current, field is there, force, field, current is down. So you can see it is the force is this way. This is the force on 2. Similarly, in this case, you see the magnetic field in this side, it would be this way. This is B, and this is F1. So they are in the opposite direction. They will repel each other. repel each other. Okay, and they attract each other. May I clean it?
1 second. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is a rectangular loop of side 4 centimeter. This is a current carrying wire. This is carrying a current of 15 amp. This is 3 centimeter side. And this one is carrying a current of 2 amp. Can you find at this distance is 2 cm. Find
How
the
much is the first current in the first loop? First rectangle?
15 amp. Find no, let make this 20 amp because that is 15 amp. This is, let's say, 20 amp. Find the net force on the loop. On the loop. Can you find? Have you done this kind of numerical before?
No, sir.
So, how will you do this? I am giving you the hint, you can try. So, how many wires can you see here?
So, 2
3 wires.
up, that will be different wires.
These two are cancelled.
Uh,
But what about this one and this one? Okay? So there will be a force due to these two, and there will be a force due to this one and this one. Hmm?
3.
So force, let me name this A, B, D. So force on AB will be what? Let me name it as F1. So AB is in the whose magnetic field? AB is in the magnetic field of this wire. Let me name this XY. Right? So what is XY? So how can we write this? We can write this BIL, no? And write this as B XY into BIL. Current is how much? Current on the wire is how much? On the loop?
15 ampere.
15 ampere. So it will be, let me name this as IE1. This is I1. This is I2. Okay? So let's write the expression first. I2. Length. Length is AB. Length AB. Okay? Into sine, definitely 90 only. Now BXY. What do you think BXY will be? Mu naught I1. I1 is I1 I2 by 2 pi r. But what is r in this case? R in this case is 2 cm. So let me put it there. F1 is would be equal to mu naught. Oh, no I2. Sorry, I1 into I2 into LAB by 2 pi into r. So now LAB will be how much? It is 4 centimeter. Okay? So 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 into I1 will be how much? I1 is 15 ampere into 20
I1
ampere.
is 20.
Whatever, both of them are there. 20 ampere into length is 4 centimeter. You see, I am not going to convert into 10 to the power minus 2 because r is also there. That is also in centimeter only, so it will get cancelled. Let it be 4 divided by 2 pi into r is how much? 2 cm. So let it be 2. Because if I write 10 to the power minus 2, 10 to the power minus 2, both get cancelled. So no need to write. So then 2 pi, this gives me 2. And this gives me 10. So how much is this? How much is this? This one will give me 15 into 10, 150. 150 into 4. 150 into 4 will be 700. Right? 700. 700 into 2. 700 into 2.
1400.
It will give me 700 into 2, 1400. Okay. 1400 into 10 to the power minus 7. What do you think the unit will be? Newton per meter or Newton?
It's a Newton per meter.
No. I have taken the length here.
Oh,
So this is Newton here.
so it's Newton.
What about F2? Now F2 will be where? Where is the direction? Tell me the direction of this one. We should put a dot or cross. So use the Fleming's left hand rule to find on the wire AB. So force, field, current. Field is which way? Force field. Current is from A to B, from west to east. Field, if you see, field is coming up. So B1 is dot coming out. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So the force is this side. This is F1. Okay, I'm going to write here and give us direction like this. Arrow means coming down. Fine? So you can always use this. Whenever you're doing this kind of numerical, you can always write this. If it is from north to east, you can write this. If it is from east to west, you can write west to east, you can write this. From east to west, you can write this. If it is from south to north, you can write this. When it is coming out of the board, you put a dot. When it is going into the board, you put a cross. Okay? So like this also you can do. So in this case, it is from north to south. What about F2? So in the F2 case, what you will do? Mu naught I1 I2 into L BC 2 pi here. Everything will be same. R will be now how much? 3 plus 2, 5 centimeter. Okay, so 2 pi into 10 to the power minus 7, or 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 into I1 is 15 into 20 into length will be how much? Now 4 only, divided by 2 pi into 5. So again cancel. This gives me 2. Okay, so 5 3s are 15. So 3 is 60, 60 into 4, 240, 240 into 2, 480, right? 480, am I right? Yeah, 480. 480 into 10 to the power, maybe my here and there, please check it once properly. Okay, Newton. So what is the direction now? The direction of this force will be which way? The current is in the opposite direction. So I, what about the B? B is up only. For using left hand rule, FBI, FBI. I is this side, B is up. B is up. FBI. B is up. So force is that side. Force is that side. So this is F2. So net force will be, so F net will be now what? Which one is greater? Definitely F1 is greater. F1 minus F2. Finish it from here. Okay? The resultant will be definitely in the direction. So the whole coil will try to come towards XY because the net force F1 is heavy and F2 is less heavy. So definitely F1, the whole net force will come towards XY. So it will be this direction. Got it? You can easily say that. Understood?
920. Yes, sir. F9 will be 920.
How much?
920.
920 into 10 to the power minus 7. If that is the answer. No?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I hope you've got it.
Yes, sir.
So you try this at home. May I clean it?
Yes, sir.
Try this at home. A square loop of side 20 centimeter carrying a current of 1 amp is kept near an infinitely long straight current carrying wire as shown. This is 4 centimeter. Side 20 centimeter I said. 20. This is 10. Calculate the magnitude and direction of the net force exerted on the loop. Okay?
Exerted on the loop. Yes.
Yeah. Let us come to moving coil galvanometer now. Can I clean it?
Yes, sir.
Moving coil galvanometer. See, the galvanometer which we use in the physics lab is also known as the Weston type galvanometer. I have shown you earlier.
Yes, sir.
Weston type galvanometer. This is Weston type galvanometer. What can you see in this case? Or Arsonval or Weston type galvanometer. Okay. So now this is the wiki. Let me go to the wiki. So here you can see. What can you see here? This is a very good diagram. You can see what we have here. Let us try to understand. We have two field magnets, North Pole and South Pole are two field magnets. Okay. And there is an armature fitted on an aluminium frame. Okay. And also there are these blue lines you see, these are springs. These are phosphor bronze spring. They give the restoring torque, because when current, you know what? It is based on the principle that when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a torque. When a current carrying coil is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences what? A torque. Which tends to rotate it. Is it or not? So now this, whenever a current will be supplied to this coil, it will get deflected. It will get deflected. The first one. This is the first one. You can see clearly here. It's a very good, brilliant example here. Okay? So you can see there is the armature here.
Yes, sir.
These two are the field magnets. These two are the field magnets. This one and this one is the field magnet. Okay? You see these 2 points?
Yes, sir.
So these are the 2 points through where the current will be supplied. Okay? They are connected inside some way. Got it? Now, when current will be given, this is a rectangular coil, they're under the magnetic field. Got it? Now remember that concept. Also, what we have before that, what do we have here? We see here a needle which is mounted on a graduated, you can see a scale. Okay, these are all degrees. How much? This is up to 100 deflection. Okay, so 1 degree, 2 degree, 100 deflection up to. So these are different deflections here. Got it? Similarly, this side is again 100, this side is again 100. Clear? Because the purpose of galvanometer is to detect whether there is a current there or not. It can detect both positive as well as negative current, because the coil can deflect left hand side also, can deflect on the anti-clockwise also, clockwise also. Okay, so this is a very beautiful picture of the moving coil galvanometer. So I will try to, you can draw this, but the one which you have to draw in the exam will be something like this. So let us write the moving coil galvanometer. So what is a moving coil galvanometer? Galvanometer is a device. A galvanometer is a device which is used to detect current in a circuit. In a circuit. Current in a circuit. It can detect both positive and negative current, but it cannot measure the amount of current. Clear? Commonly used galvanometers are the one which you are going to use. I have already told you, you should know Western type. Okay. Here we are going to learn this type only, which is also known as moving coil galvanometer.
Western type.
Principle. What is the principle? It works on the principle that when a current carrying coil is placed in a magnetic field, experiences a torque which tends to rotate it. Simple. Clear?
Torque
which tends to rotate it. And we have discussed about torque, right? We have calculated the magnitude of we calculated the value of torque as well as direction also we have found out. And I told you that you remember that yesterday I have taught you. Remember that this line is important. No? The area vector is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, area vector is very important here. Now, what is this construction? Now the construction, what it include? You can clearly write from here. I'm not just going into that much. The most important part, the diagram which you have to draw in the exam, is that you need to draw a field magnet. This is a field magnet. This is north pole. This is the south pole of the magnet. Then we're going to have here. Actually, I have drawn this too big. Let me first draw the. So what do you see here? What is this? This is an aluminium soft iron core. And this is an aluminium frame. Okay. Or aluminium. This is a soft iron core. What is the purpose of soft iron core? We'll see that. So we will have a. Okay, and then we're going to have this armature here. Which will have the wirings. These are the wirings here. Okay. Along with that, we're going to have a needle. This is the needle. Clear? And then we have a scale. This is the scale. And then we have this is the scale, and then we have the other mechanism. So here is our field magnets. Now the purpose of the soft iron core, and also that we also have a spring here. Okay, a phosphorus bound spring. What is the purpose of that? We'll see. Now you see, these are the magnetic field lines. These are the magnetic field lines. You see, they are all going like this way. The purpose of the soft iron core is that iron core, soft iron is a ferromagnetic substance. Its susceptibility is very large. So by susceptibility is what in next chapter you will learn. Susceptibility decide whether a magnetic field lines will have a tendency to thread more through the material or go less through the material. Okay, susceptibility checks that. Got it? So now this is the picture of the moving coil galvanometer. Please draw it more nicely, or the one you can use from the NCERT. I am drawing from the NCERT one only. So this is north, this is south. Just have a look at there. The same diagram. Or this one will also do, no problem. This one will also do. This is the 0 1.
Okay.
This is the 0 1. This is the whatever 30. Okay. Now also there are two wires which should be shown here, through where we are going to give the current, plus minus, but not necessary from plus n I will have to give plus. Any side can be plus, can be given. The deflection will be opposite. Okay. Please write fast.
So that's
Drawn?
yes.
So I'll just dictate to you. Sorry. Yeah. So you write. Moving coil galvanometer consists of a soft iron core. Moving galvanometer consists of a soft iron core.
Consists
Of a soft iron core.
iron core.
Over which an aluminium frame. Over which an aluminium frame carrying rectangular coil, current carrying coil is mounted. Over which a aluminium frame carrying a current carrying coil. Aluminium frame carrying a current carrying coil is mounted. Okay.
Is mounted.
This arrangement, full stop. This arrangement is placed in between. This arrangement is placed in between. It's placed or fitted. It's placed in between two field magnets. Two field magnets. Two field magnets. Written. Full stop. At one end of the coil there is a pointer.
There is
A pointer with its graduated scale. pointer with a graduated scale over which the pointer can move or slide. At the other end there is a phosphor bronze spring. At the lower end there is a phosphor bronze spring.
Is a
Phosphor bronze spring.
spring.
Okay. The purpose of the spring is to provide the restoring torque. The purpose of the spring is to provide the restoring torque. The purpose of the spring is to provide the restoring torque. To provide the restoring torque.
Torque.
Will it get deflected by
Pardon, sir?
restoring torque, full stop. Provide the restoring torque. Keep it full stop there. Okay? Written?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The softness of this spring determines the softness of this spring determines the sensitivity of the galvanometer. This is one of the, we will see later, but right now you write it. Now may I clean this?
No, sir. So this
No need to do. I just explaining to you.
Okay.
So theory of this one will be, so we see that when you place the coil, so this is our coil, when you place between the magnetic fields, so this is the magnetic field lines, like this, between North Pole and South Pole of the field magnets. Okay, and there is a spring at the bottom. This is the axis of the coil, this being the needle. Just imagine, I am just drawing the, this is the needle. Okay, and if this is the direction of current, so we know the direction of current also give me the direction of the this arrow is the area vector or magnetic moment vector. I will write this as the M vector or area vector, whichever you take this, same thing only. I will write this as area vector only. So this is the area vector. Okay, there is a phosphor bronze spring at the bottom. The purpose of the spring is to give a counter torque. So when current will be given, if we know that torque is equal to, we know torque will be equals to what? M cross B, M vector cross B vector. So you can see I align my right hand with the M vector, fold it towards B. So I'm going in the which way? I am going on the, from M to B I am going, in this diagram if I follow I am going M to B, so I am going in the clockwise direction, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means this coil will try to rotate like this. So this is my deflecting torque. Okay, at the same time this one will try to, this phosphor bronze spring is also twisting. Okay, so as it twists, what it will do? It will try to give a restoring torque. Restoring torque will be in this direction at equilibrium. So when it comes to stop at one particular angle, 30 degree or 20 degree, when the needle stops at one particular value, let's say if the needle stops at 20, at this point what can I say? The restoring torque and the deflecting torque is equal, right?
Yes, sir.
The deflecting torque will be what? As we have seen, tau equals to NBIA sine theta. But wait a minute, what is theta now? This theta is the angle between the magnetic field, right?
And
Magnetic field, and here what? M vector. IA is M, na? So that is 90 degree only. Okay? Because from there we are going to get the maximum torque. We need to talk about the maximum torque. Clear? So it is aligned in such a way that M is always perpendicular to B. Got it? So I get here tau is equals to NBI, which is the maximum torque. Theta equals to 90 for max. Okay, tau. The restoring torque, so this is our deflecting torque. Restoring torque will be what? We know restoring torque is given by, if you remember that the restoring torque is directly proportional to, more it gives a twist, more will be the restoring torque. So it's directly proportional to the angle alpha. Greater is this angle, greater will be the angle, greater will be the twist, greater will be the alpha. Simple. So I will remove this. R is equals to K alpha. Where is K? This small k. K is called the torsional constant, where K is the torsional constant. Torsional constant. Okay, now there's a, I don't know whether how much you have done in class 11. Remember this, torsional constant, not spring constant. Torsional constant. Okay?
and its value is?
No, K is equals to torsional constant, not value. We will come to that. This depends on spring to spring. Now, at equilibrium, K alpha is equal to NBIA. Okay? So, we need to find what? You can see here, everything is constant. I is equals to, I can write K by NBA, A being constant, only alpha is not. K being the torsional constant, N being the number of turns, B the magnetic field, and A be the cross-sectional area. I can see is directly proportional to theta. This proves if 30 is the deflection, 30 is the current. Okay? So I is directly proportional to, I is equal to, now I am going to write this not small k, there are now various ways to define this. We can denote it by G, or we can denote it by N, whatever. I am denoting it for now with G, but later on I will, the one which is used in standard lab procedure, I will bring in that. Okay, so I am just writing this for G. What is G? But G is called the galvanometer constant. But G is called the galvanometer constant. Clear?
Yes, sir.
We can also say this as figure of merit. Now what is figure of merit? We will come to that now. G is the, I is equal to G alpha, where G is nothing but K by NBA. Now you can see, how can I increase the sensitivity of the galvanometer? How can I increase the sensitivity of the galvanometer? Sensitivity of the galvanometer can be increased on these factors. So factors on which sensitivity will increase, on which sensitivity of galvanometer depends. What are they? Number one, number of turns. You can easily see if number of turns decreases, G will increase. G increases, what will happen?
Number of turns will decrease.
So number of turns in its coil. So if G increases, so G can be written as I by alpha. G can be written as, G is written as what? I by alpha, no? By increasing the number of turn, so you see here, before I proceed, we can write this as I equals to G by alpha. So then G will be equals to what? I by alpha. Now pay attention here. That means I can write this K by NBA.
NBA.
Pay attention to this and this. The idea is, if G increases, alpha decreases. Then I will be able to measure even small, no? So what is it then? So if G is, that means, so if I increase the number of turn, so increasing n, I can increase n, sensitivity will increase. Simple. Number 2, what else? Increasing what? B, field magnet, right? Number 3, what? Increasing A, cross-sectional area of the coil. Okay, so this is the coil. If I increase this area, it will increase. So instead of a square, if I take a bigger square, let's say, you try to fit in a bigger square, it will give me be more sensitive. 4th one, by decreasing what? By decreasing K. I told you, that's why I gave you that hint.
Yes,
Decreasing K. That means decreasing this softness. If it decreases, I'm going to get more and more. What do you call? It will be more sensitive. You will be able to measure even small. You detect more small current. Okay. Understand? So let us come to something called figure of merit. Now figure of merit is coming from this G is also known as by something called figure of merit. What is figure of merit? Figure of merit. Now this is practically, it is used in practical. So you have seen I is equals to, now I am writing instead of G, I can write this as G alpha, but I can, now the general standard procedure, standard notations is generally by writing this as K alpha, or some will also write this as N alpha. Same thing only. Okay? N is the number of deflection, or you can write this as K alpha. So what is K? K is I by alpha, so you can see, what can I write figure of merit? Can you explain?
G alpha.
Is the current required to produce unit deflection. Figure of merit is defined as the current required to produce an unit deflection. It is called figure of merit.
Required
To produce unit deflection is called figure of merit. So this is it. I by alpha. And I will show you something here now. This determines how sensitive is it. I by alpha. Okay? K is equal to I by alpha. 20. So for example, some common figure of merits will be 20 microamp per division. This is the SI unit. SI unit would be, this is ampere per division or ampere per deflection. So 20 microamp per division. When you use this in physics lab, you get your concept get broadened in this. So 20 microamp. Then there is 5 microamp per division. Then there is 10 microamp per division. 1 micro, in my lab I have all this. 1 microamp per division. I have this. Okay? 1 microamp means how much is it actually? 1 into 10 to the power minus 6 amp per division. Can you see? And what is 20 microamp per division? 20 microamp is 20 into 10 to the power minus 6 per division. So if I write this properly, this should means 20 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 cancel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means 0.12345 ampere per division. Means if this is the scale, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 10 and so on there. So the current measured by one division is this much current. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So that means how small current we can detect with moving coil galvanometer. Understand?
Yes, sir.
And I have
Sir,
done.
can you just show me the first part of the screen? I'll just need to copy something.
And I have, we have done so
Sir,
excellent
not
demonstration
today.
project on this thing. Event conversion, finding out very small current.
So slightly down, sir. Slightly down. So down, I mean like
Up.
up. Yes. So done.
Now, what is voltage
Yes, sir.
sensitivity and current sensitivity? So, voltage sensitivity, as the name, current sensitivity, as the name suggests, deflections per unit current.
Yes.
Okay. Current sensitivity, may I clean it?
Yes, sir, yes.
Voltage sensitivity and current sensitivity. So, current sensitivity, I will be alpha by I. Voltage sensitivity, alpha by V. That's it. Deflection per unit current, deflection per unit volt. Now we can also write this alpha by I into R. R is the circuit resistance, and I you already know. What was the value of I? I equals to K by NBA. Now
Yes, sir.
into
Yes, sir.
alpha. So alpha by I will give me how much? NBA by. So you can write this alpha by I would be, alpha by I can be written as K by NBA into R, 1 by R, right? So like this also
Yes.
you can write same way. So this is
Voltage sensitivity.
and current sensitivity you can write alpha by I is K by NBA.
NBA.
So what is this K by NBA? So this is actually nothing but current sensitivity. So you can also write this as IS by R. So yeah, different. When you do practical, then only you can come across all this. So generally, I in practical in projects I will give convert a galvanometer into voltmeter. Okay. I'll ask it to find the convert into voltmeter. So at that time we can, during that they can also check what is the voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer, what is that and all. Or I'll tell them that you bring some copper coil, make some 100 tons of copper coil, put it in between two magnets, and just see and how much deflections. Yes, so in that time you can see or check all this. So done. Now next is the last topic is the conversions of galvanometer, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can expect any one of these questions. Conversion of galvanometer. First one is voltmeter conversion. Please check the galvanometer. Voltmeter conversion. How do you convert a voltmeter? By connecting a very large resistance. By connecting a large resistance in series with a galvanometer, it can be converted into voltmeter. Okay, so here is our galvanometer, and we have very large resistance RS. This is connected to this one. Now here I am going to denote G for the galvanometer resistance G. Okay, so that's it. Then this is the voltmeter. This two setup is called the voltmeter. You can easily find it. What is the galvanometer resistance by using we know what. So how much you want to convert it? Let's say this one is giving you, this is the current Ig or I, whatever, and you want to convert it into 2 volts, so that is this volt. Okay, you can convert it to 2 volts, so that V will be equals to, you can write this as what? You can write IgG plus Ig into Rs. No voltage drop. Okay, so then you can write this Ig, I can take common from here, G plus Rs, so Rs will be equals to V by Ig. What is Ig? Ig is the galvanometer current minus G. So how will you find G? In practical application, how will you find G? Where Ig will be equals to N into K. What is N? Where N is equal to number of deflection in the galvanometer, and K equals to figure of merit. Figure of merit. Example, if the galvanometer has 30 deflection, look at this picture. I'll tell you what is the figure of merit of this one. Let's come to the picture. Anything on the wiki has? No. Maybe this one you can see. No. Images. Good picture. I'm looking for a good picture here. You can see here. What is written? Yeah, it is written microamp, but I can't see any good picture. See, not a single good picture is there. Not a single good picture is present here. Yeah, you can. I have to use this one probably. How much? No, it's Chinese. "20 microamp per division Newton." Can you see?
Yeah, very faintly, yes, sir.
Very faintly, 20 microamp per division, and here it is 0 to 30. 30 division. So here N will be for you 30. Example, number of division is 30, K is 20 microamp per division. That means I will be equals to 30 into 20. That gives me 600 microamp. Clear? That is the NK, na? Ig, galvanometer current. This is galvanometer current, N into K. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So now, that said, how do you convert it into an ammeter? May I clean it?
Yes, sir.
Conversion to ammeter. So please write it. A galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by connecting a very small resistance known as shunt resistance in parallel to the galvanometer.
Shunt.
In parallel to the galvanometer. I minus Ig. Okay? This is G is the galvanometer resistance. Using Kirchhoff's rule, if I go Kirchhoff's rule, I can write this as, with the direction of current is less, so minus I minus Ig into S opposite plus IgG equals to 0. So I can write this, IgG is equals to I minus Ig into S. So S will be equals to IgG by I minus Ig. Okay. Now I is the galvanometer current, G is the galvanometer resistance, and what is I? I is the conversion range. So do you want a 3 ampere? Do you need a 2 ampere, 1 ampere, 1.5 ampere? What? This will be given to you. That if the galvanometer deflection is galvanometer figure of merit is 20 microamp per division, and galvanometer resistance is around 100 ohm. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Find the resistance. Find the value of shunt resistance required to convert it into a ammeter of 1.5 amp. So that time I is equals to 1.5. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, as you can see, from the figure, it is clear maximum current flows through the small resistance S or shunt resistance S. Okay, and that is the purpose of S. Okay, that is the purpose of it. So the maximum current goes to the and very small current. So that from the figure is clear that maximum current flows to small resistance S, so that very low current pass through,
Yeah, the galvanometer.
or else it will burn it. The spring will break. The spring, before it get, the spring will get too much of torque and it will break, and the galvanometer is gone. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that said, we have reached to the end of the chapter. Just see one or two questions from the
NCERT?
yeah, you can go through the NCERT just.
Yes, sir.
That would be more than enough, because
I
question
will
numerical
choose
regarding
when
this
I-
is I have seen very less.
Okay, sir.
So that concludes this chapter today, huh?
Yes, sir.